Oh, I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one probably. But I wanted to speak on the recent events that have taken place. You got Conor McGregor saying some wild shit, going after Paul Hughes, going after Khabib, and using racial slurs, right, that don't even really pertain to Khabib. So I'm confused by it, which also kind of confuses me about the outrage. Like, is the issue just using the word in general, or is the issue with directing it at somebody, right? Because that would be where the racism comes into place. But he's just kind of, like, I don't understand why he's using the word, but I'll read through the tweet here, then we'll get into the Bryce Mitchell stuff, because I don't really want to speak too much. But the point is the fucking outrage, right? And how selective it is in the MMA community, because I went on the r/UFC Reddit. I do go on there to get my news for the UFC, and just really to see what these Redditors have been saying about recent events. And they seem to be extremely outraged about Conor McGregor and about Bryce Mitchell, just doing everything that they can to smear these people's names. And I understand that Conor doesn't really need a lot of help with that. He's been doing a lot to himself recently. So let's just read through the tweet here. 15 minutes, I done Aldo, 15 seconds, show your wife, and I will not say the word. I will be shadow banned. I will be removed off YouTube and probably canceled. But I'm sure a lot of you quote-unquote based individuals would love it if I said it. But I'm sorry, not today, man. Show your wife, show your kids, cousin fucking motherfuckers, hiding motherfuckers. Show us you and your kids together, because we have kids here in Ireland that want to smoke them in competition. Are they competing, or what are you saying? Ireland versus Dagestan. Where's your offspring? We can't wait to see them. The best of Dagestan offspring. Listen, Conor's off something going into this, because he is just off his rocker. You can tell this is completely unintelligible bullshit. Where's your offspring? We can't wait to see them. Sorry, the best of Dagestan offspring. Dagestan, what do we think? Is this true? Who's next? Because Fatso with the coach whistle won't fight. Who the fuck designated this fat bitch as master father? Certainly not his own father, Abdul Manap. Prayer hands emoji. And they all know it in Dagestan. Dagestan thinks you are pussy lips for retiring. What? Real Dagestan is forever. You are laughed at behind your back in Dagestan. Lazy you are, they say. Fight me and make $100 million and give it to the entire village of Dagestan, but you won't. Why? Fat, lazy, scared bitch, lazy fats. Okay, listen. Whether you're a fan of Conor McGregor or you're a fan of Khabib, Conor McGregor going after Khabib so many years later, calling him scared to fight him, when we saw what happened when they fight, and we know what would happen if they fought again, right? Khabib would do the same thing to him. It's just a stylistic mismatch, and Conor McGregor isn't a fighter anymore. He just kind of isn't. He could beat up your average folk. He could probably walk into a gym and tune up some people in the gym, be a gym warrior. But when it comes to actually fighting, I don't know if Conor McGregor has that anymore. In fact, I would wager that he most definitely does not at all. And now I won't show every single thing that Conor McGregor's tweeted recently. I will mostly focus on this tweet, because I guess this is where a lot of the outrage comes from. But then him going after Paul Hughes is a bad look. Doesn't really make sense to me. Just showing respect to your opponent after the fact, like being invited down to Dagestan, accepting the invitation. Do I think that Khabib would have invited Paul Hughes had Paul Hughes been given the decision? Absolutely fucking not, because these are fake, humble individuals. And I will get more into that. In fact, I will get into that right now, because why is it that you're so upset? And the same people who are upset about this love Khabib, thinks Khabib's the most humble person on the planet. But then how about this video here? Because in my opinion, words on Twitter are far less damaging, far less of a bad look than a video like this. Now let's take a look at it real quick. Look at that homeless man on the ground doing push-ups. Look at Abu Bakar back there when he's not playing PUBG with DJ and picking up 4 losses on his record. He's apparently getting homeless people to do push-ups for money, because he thinks it's funny, eh? Look at this guy. Wow, he must be so desperate for money, eh? Look at him, dude. When dumpster diving last night for dinner. Oh man, this is gonna be so funny. Oh, look at this one. How we got another one. Oh, it's hilarious. Khabib loves this. Eh? He's in stitches. Look at these homeless people. Oh my god, look what they're willing to do for money. They're so desperate. Wow, must be so hungry. Oh man, look at that one. Oh, it's so funny, dude. Oh, Khabib's just such a stand-up great guy. I love him. So much character. So humble. That he laughs at homeless people. I don't know. I think it's funny. I think it's great. I think Khabib, honestly speaking, might just be the greatest role model in the history of the sport, unanimously, I would say. Now, of course, I'm not saying that Conor McGregor is absolved of anything just because Khabib has also done bad shit. That's really not how this works. But I just want to paint the hypocrisy and the message of this selective outrage that I think is so silly, man. Because if you're gonna start seething over some fucking words, then you better keep that same energy when it comes to your favorite fighter, right? Your favorite fighter doing something, in my opinion, far worse, far worse. Because this is proper shitty behavior, right? Yeah, Conor McGregor coked out, tweeting, like you may not like it. You may not like it at all, actually, but at the end of the day, it's just words on Twitter. You don't even really have to pay attention. But then again, you don't have to pay attention to Khabib mocking homeless people. But this man felt like it was morally right to post this video. That speaks to a man's moral code. Mocking a homeless person on video and posting it on your Instagram page. I don't know if he deleted it after the fact or whatever, but to bring yourself to make this public, I think begs the question of what people like this are willing to do behind closed doors, right? In private, because like I said, this is morally, I would go as far as to say that this type of behavior is morally reprehensible, right? I'm not the moral police or anything, but correct me if I'm wrong. Filming homeless people and laughing at them while you're paying them to physically exert themselves is morally wrong, right? Prove me wrong on that one. Prove me wrong. I might be wrong here, man. Like maybe Conor McGregor tweeting some words is actually worse than this. You know, like maybe I'm way off the mark, but in my opinion, that's just how it is. But let's just move off the Conor McGregor and Khabib shit and move on to Bryce Mitchell, because this is the real meat and potatoes of what's been going on recently. Quick last second edit, actually. I didn't realize that Sean Strickland said this, but I would like to show this beforehand. This is a sentiment regarding Bryce Mitchell's comments. And there, of course, is a lot of outrage on Reddit about this. Everyone, misrepresenting him pretty much. Like, just look at the title of it. You'll see exactly what I mean. Let's get into it right now.
So, with Bryce, I don't think Bryce is a Nazi. I think Bryce is a fucking idiot from Arkansas who's not educated. And I think Bryce is just feeding into the propaganda. And, how many people actually agree with him? I don't. I mean, to me, the facts are, fucking these dirty Palestinians, they go in, they fucking take a bunch of little kids. If someone took my woman, if some Mexican took my woman, I'm grabbing my gun. I'm going fucking full sin. Man, woman, child, full sin. So the reality of the fact is they came in and took a bunch of hostages and Israel was responding. But that's not what you hear. You see dead little fucking kids. So, while I had this moment, Bryce, you are a fucking idiot. You should not have said that. But he is being radicalized, and a lot of people support him, and it's wrong.
So first of all, I want to say that the title is completely incorrect and misrepresentative, and it's so blatant. Listen, did he say all Palestinian people are dirty people? No, he did not. He said dirty Palestinians. Yes, he's referring to the terrorists who came in and kidnapped people and murdered people and raped people. Yes, the choice of words isn't great, but he never said all Palestinian people are racist. You're just completely misrepresenting what he said. But I have to say one thing. This is my opinion on that whole situation. Both sides fucking suck. Okay, Hamas coming in there doing what they did on the day that they did it. I think it was October 7th. People keep bringing up, is fucking terrible. Can we admit that that's terrible? Even if it was as a retaliation, civilians don't deserve to get murdered, right? Can we all agree that civilians don't deserve to get murdered? And the result of that attack on October 7th, everything that Israel has done since then, is also shitty. Both sides in this conflict are shitty. It's a war, for fuck's sake. I feel like taking a side when atrocity is so vehemently, right? And that is the conservative angle, it seems like. And I'm a conservative, right? Most of my views align with conservatism, but it seems like it's this like cuck-like conservative way of thinking nowadays, where you just bend the knee to Israel, and if you're conservative, you have to side with Israel, and if you're a liberal or a Democrat or whatever, you're on the left, then you have to support Palestine. Listen, both sides are shit. Can we just come to that conclusion, man? Both sides are shit. Stop supporting one side or the other just because you post pictures of children being murdered. Like, it happens on both sides. This conflict should not be happening in the first place. Both sides are to blame. And by the way, when I say both sides are shit, I'm referring to the people doing the murdering, and that's all, not the civilians, man. Morally grandstanding, virtue signaling on either end is a bad look, and I think that goes for Sean Strickland as well. And he actually surprises me with how he takes such a firm stance on this. It's interesting, and it just seems to me like Sean Strickland is bending the knee to his conservative overlords in this particular situation. But having said that, let's move on to the Bryce Mitchell podcast.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, you know what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
Now, first of all, I just want to speak on how unnecessary it was for Bryce to even talk about how Hitler was a good guy. Maybe he was just itching to share that opinion of his, but they were on the topic of Elon Musk and his potential Hitler salute. Listen, I know he's on the spectrum, Elon Musk, so it was a poor choice of action at the very, very least, considering that the mainstream media has been comparing Trump to Hitler for like the last 8 years. And of course, Elon Musk in his autismo fashion has to do something that looks exactly like some Sig Heil. Do I think he meant to do it? No, I don't know if he meant to. I don't really think he did, but it looked bad, obviously. Like, the visual of it sucks. But at the end of the day, man, like, Bryce Mitchell just didn't even have to go into this rant. He brought this upon himself, dude. He really did. It's comical to me. It is comical. I made a post about this, and I kind of got the feel that there are actually a lot of people in this community that agree with what Bryce says. Now, here's what I have to say about the people who just outright agree with what Bryce said. You can agree with what he said, right? You can agree with the sentiment. In fact, I did some research, and Google did in fact confirm that the first transgender surgery did happen in Germany, and Hitler did burn the what he calls them queer books. So that's true, right? But this is kind of the issue that we fall into, right? Is that somebody, and I feel like we got this with Andrew Tate quite a bit, because I think Andrew Tate's a piece of shit human being. Like, he's the lowest of the low, and he always has been, really, when you think about it. The man was a fucking pimp. The man was a pimp, and it openly admitted to dealing with underage girls. So if you ever look at a man like Andrew Tate and think that that's the kind of man you want to be, I have some serious questions for you. But like, Andrew Tate would talk a whole lot of bullshit and then just drop a couple slivers of truth in there. And because you hear a couple slivers of truth, that kind of spins everything into you thinking that, oh shit, man, this man's just speaking pure truth, right? So he says some obvious shit. That is true. In the case of Bryce Mitchell, he's not saying obvious shit. I actually had to do the research to find it out. But the fact that he drops a couple morsels of truth in there kind of spins everything into you thinking, oh man, this dude's speaking all the truth in the world. And even if you agree with his sentiment that Jewish people were destroying Germany at the time and all this shit, that doesn't mean that a small, or I mean, listen, it could be a large portion of them. It could be a small portion. I don't know. That's kind of the point here. Is I don't really know. And none of us really know. In fact, I do have Polish people in my family. I have a few of them. And from what I've heard, the Holocaust isn't fake. That's what I've heard. Listen, I wasn't alive during that time. I wasn't present. I've done some research, but I'm not an expert on the situation. I also wouldn't deny that the Holocaust took place and that many, many people died unnecessarily. That's what I'm saying, is that this small subsect of Jewish people, let's just assume that it's a small portion of them, because I don't assume all Jewish people are nefarious beings and have it out for this planet, right, and want to take everything for themselves. I don't assume that that's the case. But if a small sect of Jewish people are responsible for this type of shit, does that mean that all of them must be persecuted as a result? I don't think that's the case, right? Like, when it comes to Islamic extremism, right, that type of shit scares me, right? And I believe scares most people on this planet. Like, Islamic extremism is a scary thing, but that doesn't mean that I agree with an entire nation or all Islamic nations just being fucking leveled as a result. No, because not all Muslim people think the same way. Not all Jewish people think the same way, and that's kind of my point here. So you can agree with what Bryce Mitchell says. But saying Hitler was a good dude and all that I think is pushing it. It's pushing it a little bit, and I think what is the main issue with what Bryce Mitchell said. Like he said some wild shit before. It didn't exactly outrage people, right? I'm not outraged by what Bryce Mitchell said at all. In fact, listen, there's some nuance to what he's saying. There really is. There's some truth to what he's saying in some instances, but it's just the language that he uses. Maybe Bryce Mitchell spends too much time on the internet, because I did have a little exchange with some people in my comment section of that post that I made pertaining to this podcast from Bryce Mitchell. And really what it comes down to, and this is something I've always believed, is like you have to be skeptical of everything you hear. Doesn't matter if it's from Bryce Mitchell, from your teachers, from the President of the United States, everything. Be skeptical of everything that you are told, and don't believe everything you see on the internet, because at the end of the day, man, you can find something on the internet to support any way of thinking. You can find anything. That's why I say just be skeptical of everything, and that's all, right? So I would say Bryce Mitchell, potentially a symptom of being perpetually online, because these are the type of opinions that maybe at one point in my life I could have even held, right? Because especially during COVID, when we had all the time in the world to ourselves to go on the internet and look at all these conspiracy theories, quote unquote conspiracy theories. I know the term conspiracy theory was coined by the CIA to devalue real discovery like that. But at the end of the day, it does nothing for us. It's out of our control. We can't do anything about it. And so, in my opinion, it's just a waste of time racking our brains over this type of shit. But Bryce Mitchell spends a lot of time online, goes down these rabbit holes, I can only assume, and it can really, really dilute your way of thinking. And you can just become Bryce Mitchell. Listen, I like him. I like the fact that he reps the Bible. He reps Christianity. I like that. And I like Bryce Mitchell. And I'll still stand by him. I don't wish to see him get sparked out cold in his next fight. I know fucking Redditors all over the place are just reposting Bryce Mitchell twitching on the ground because that gives them satisfaction. But at the end of the day, man, like Dana White said, you're allowed to watch him go get knocked out. And speaking about that, let's actually take a look at what Ariel Helwani had to say, because surely he will be unbiased about this situation. Let's see.
It's Bryce Mitchell. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And so I go on Twitter very quickly, and I see this clip of Bryce Mitchell on the critically acclaimed Arkansanity podcast with former UFC fighter Rolly Delgado, talking about how Hitler was a good guy. Before the meth, we always have to mention that. And I didn't know, actually. I learned something while watching that clip. I didn't know that Hitler was a meth user. I didn't know this was public knowledge. But I guess through his research that he conducted, he found that out, and also found out that he was a good guy, kind of guy that you'd want to go fishing with. And that, all he wanted to do was, wipe the Jews out of Germany who were turning everyone gay. Once
that last part is funny.
Or your stance on this type of speech became like a badge for your political views or your political stance, they dropped all of that. And so I said afterwards, nothing's going to happen, and I don't even want something to happen because I don't feel like we should be rooting.
Oh, okay.
For
so
people
surely
to lose
Ariel
their
doesn't
jobs
want Bryce to get cut then for this,
based on these stupid things. They're cage fighters. They're sportsmen. They're athletes. Like, do your thing. Freedom of speech.
What's this
essentially
though?
just says that the government can't come to your house and arrest you for saying
but now he's
stupid
mad
shit
though.
like this, which they
So
can't.
he might not contradict
That's the
himself
Second
though,
Amendment.
right? Surely he won't.
Every company has every right to say, we don't want to be associated with this. We don't want to employ this type of person. We don't want to make any money. We don't want to make a dime off of this type of person. We don't want you, our public, our loyal public, to pay pay-per-view dollars to watch this type of person, because he does not represent our beliefs. He does not represent us.
Interesting.
We have sponsors who have to, answer to their bosses or their,
shareholders
or people who invest in them.
So pretty much,
wait a second. You're sponsoring the sport
suggesting
that
Bryce
okay with
should
this type
be
of rhetoric?
cut though. Right, but that doesn't exactly mirror what he said before, right? So those two different clips aren't that far away from one another. This whole video is like 10 to 12 minutes long. It's not really that far from one another. So he shares that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I don't even want him to be cut, man. I don't think we should be rallying to get fighters cut and take away their livelihood and all that. But then a few minutes later, you're talking about shareholders, you're talking about sponsors, and how they don't want to be associated with that kind of stuff, and how you have the power to tell Bryce that this company doesn't share the same values. We don't want to be associated with this. So it's a bit contradictory. I know he's not outright saying that Bryce Mitchell should be cut, but for him to say that we shouldn't be rallying behind a fighter to be cut, lose their livelihood, and then to turn around and start bringing up sponsors and shareholders and pretty much making the suggestion that the guy should be cut ultimately, man. And he's outraged and he's angry, and I understand it, right? I'm not a Jewish man. He's a Jewish man. So his outrage, I can't exactly tell the guy that, hey man, you can't be upset about the things that Bryce Mitchell said about Hitler, considering what happened during the Holocaust. Obviously, I'm no one to tell Ariel not to be upset about this, but the contradiction to me is pretty clear. So when it comes to this selective outrage, I also remember that, Ariel Helwani didn't have anything to say towards Israel Adesanya. Really, like no critiques towards him when he was being blatantly racist towards DDP.
I never ever did that to him. I never discredited him as an African. I just, okay, there you are, cool. You want to make a fight, cool. But the fact that as a fucking cracker to tell me who the fuck I am.
In fact, he thought it was great, and he kept pinning the racism on DDP, acting like DDP was the one bringing race to the whole thing, when that could not have been further from the truth, not to mention all the dog stuff.
Easy should beat the bricks off this guy.
No!
Get up, get up!
Mama back.
God damn it!
Come on.
God damn it! God damn it, man! Massive respect for Izzy, man.
And just him being a man of questionable character, or not to mention, Ariel Helwani asking Israel Adesanya about his gyno, his very, very clear gyno, and then he somehow turns that into a thing where he compares his situation to Chadwick Boseman and insinuating that he might have cancer.
People have been commenting on your right pec, and you are being accused of steroids, gyno, all these things. When I did my show with DC, all the comments.
See, when I first saw it, it was gymnastics I was reading, because I'm dyslexic. So I'm like, what? Oh wait, gyno, and I Googled it. So that's one thing. I didn't want to speak about it until I know what it was, because it's been on me for like the last 8 weeks, and it was just growing. I was like, this is quite sore. And even my girl told me to go to the doctor, but I was like, I'll just get this fight done over with first. But yeah, I don't know what it is. And I also, from what I've read on the Googles about gynos, the MMA or whatever, it happens to both your boobs, right? So this is just one. In my head, I'm like, I hope it's not. Wouldn't it be funny if I died in like 5 months and then it was cancer?
No,
and it wouldn't be funny. I mean,
right. I mean,
like Chadwick was, a guy who, rest in peace, was going through a lot, and everything was hush hush, and then people were making fun of him for looking skinny.
Listen, I know there are a lot of people who say that's not what he said, but if you listen to his words, it kind of seems that way. It just kind of seems that way. Like, why are you bringing up Chadwick Boseman as a way to deflect the gyno question? It's fishy at the very least, man. It's questionable. Or how about Sean O'Malley? Why does nobody get outraged about the fact that Sean O'Malley tattooed 69 on his shoulder to show support for Tekashi 6ix9ine, who a year prior to him getting this tattoo was found guilty and pled guilty to engaging in sexual acts with a minor and filmed it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't give a fuck that he was a snitch, right? People want to talk about he was a snitch. No, I don't really care about that kind of shit, because gang shit is stupid to begin with. But we're talking about underage girls, while Sean O'Malley, I'm pretty sure, has a daughter of his own. That's questionable. That's strange. You're getting a tattoo to support this man while you have a fucking daughter, right? I'm not even gonna get into the cuckoldry stuff, because, listen, I think it's weird. But if it's not hurting anybody, then shit, I can't say anything about it, even though I would never do it. And I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. It's not, like, I can never claim that it's morally, like, reprehensible, I guess. But getting a tattoo of a sex offender on of a sex offender's rap name to show support for him, and allowing him to tattoo that onto your body, now that's questionable. But where was the outrage? We're talking about putting something on our bodies for life to show support to this kind of a person, versus words on a podcast, right? Versus words on a podcast, or in Conor McGregor's case, words on Twitter. But of course, Sean O'Malley and Israel Adesanya, they represent the degeneracy that most of these internet dwellers, these Redditors love, man. They love this type of degeneracy, so they prop it up, because makes themselves feel better about how degenerate they really are. So, oh my God, these rich, successful fighters, they're also degenerates like me. Wow, let's champion them. But anytime anything weird comes up about them, let's practice radio silence. And now, before I send you guys off here, let me be clear. I think what Conor McGregor has been doing recently is stupid. I think what he's been saying recently is stupid. It's silly, and he's making himself look like a fucking idiot, which he is, right? Same thing goes for Bryce Mitchell. Going on a podcast, it just shows very low critical thinking abilities to just outright say that on a podcast, right? Let alone your first episode. It shows low critical thinking abilities, like regardless of if you agree with him or not. I have to reiterate this. Regardless of if you think he is right or not, the fact that he said it in general is retarded, to be completely real. But just keep the same energy, right? When Khabib laughs at homeless people, or when Sean O'Malley tattoos a fucking sex offender on his shoulder, or when Israel Adesanya does like the whole litany, honestly, the rap sheet of Adesanya is ridiculous at this point, doing any number of things that he's done. I want the same type of people, the same people, right? In general, I want Ariel Helwani, all you weird Redditors who love Khabib, you love Israel Adesanya, you love Sean O'Malley. I want you all to just keep the same energy and hold these people accountable and stop getting outraged when it comes to words if you're not going to be outraged by actions, right? Disgusting actions, to be completely real. That is my sentiment. Those are my beliefs. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Like I said, if I offended anybody, then kick rocks. At the end of the day, I don't really give a shit. But I do appreciate you watching nonetheless. Whether you enjoyed, whether you didn't enjoy, please let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see more videos of this type, right? Because I do enjoy making these. I would say I enjoy making these probably more than even predicting the fights, if I'm being completely real, because I just like sharing my opinions on the internet. And I don't really care whether you agree or not, right? I've already said it, but I do appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.